Hello everyone, this is Professor Hill, and this is a short video for our class Introduction to Ethics, Philosophy 2306 here at St. Philip's College. This is the fall 2018 semester. This is the online version of the class. And today we're talking about Chapter 4, and specifically looking at consequentialist theories. And these are moral theories, theories which explain our foundation for good and bad, right and wrong. And we're doing this on Wednesday, October the 3rd, 2018. Now, I can tell you that, like I said in my last video, we skipped over Chapter 3. We're doing Chapter 4. And what you're going to find is that Chapter 4, 5, and 6 really kind of go all together as a block. They're talking about specifically about consequentialist and non-consequentialist theories, moral theories. And as I said in the last video, beginning with consequentialism, it's about the consequences or the outcomes. These are theories which look at what happens and then use that information to kind of back up and determine what's the best thing to do. So you're standing there looking at the potential outcomes, you weigh, you balance them, and you choose the right thing based on that intended outcome. So, utilitarianism. This is one of the theories you'll see in Chapter 4. And it's saying that the theory behind this is that the morally right action is the one that produces the most favorable balance of good and bad, right and wrong for everyone considered. Meaning that, look, I've got to take into account everybody in this situation, figure out what's the best thing for the most people, and then that's the right thing to do. And again, this strikes us as being kind of intuitively correct on lots of things, starting with like government taxes and spending. Think about that for a second, which is what we do right now is we tax everybody in, let's say, our country, and then we make policies where we spend that money. And the kind of guiding force is what's the best policy for the most people. Like if you're talking about roads, right? State of Texas, and you're taxing everybody in Texas. We put money into a bucket for highways and roads and boulevards and bridges. And the policy is, well, we're going to have a plan that helps the most people get around. It's going to be something which we're going to have where the roads are built, we're going to try to say, look, what's going to help alleviate traffic as a whole in terms of our spending. Now, listen, you know what would be great? What would be great is if we taxed everybody in the state of Texas, put a bunch of money, millions of dollars into a pot, and then we built a bridge right from my front door, my driveway, up over the neighborhood, down, right to St. Philip's College, and then a ramp came right to the parking lot, and nobody could drive on it except me. It goes from my house to St. Philip's, and it's a personal highway for me, and it's going to cost millions and millions of dollars. But you know what? Damn, that'd be great for me. Now, that is another concept, which again is kind of outcome related, but that's about ethical egoism. Ethical egoism is the same thing. It's saying, well, look, what's the best thing to do? The morally right thing to do is what gives the favorable balance of good and evil, right and wrong, to benefit me and me alone. So if I said, well, that's how I'm going to judge what's right and wrong, is what's best for me, I would pick the plan with the private bridge, because I can fly right over the traffic and get to work on time. Even though you're all paying for it, too bad, this is what's best for me. Well, it turns out we don't do that in the state of Texas. Oh, that'd be nice some mornings. We use this utilitarian approach, which is what's the most favorable balance for everyone, not just me. Now, we all chip in. We're all going to get some good out of it. The good is that, believe me, when I drove from my home to St. Philip's today, it wasn't chaos. It wasn't just you're on your own or build your own road if you want a road. It was, no, we all do this together. And we're going to have a coordinated policy. We're going to have professionals who are dispassionate, objective professionals who say this is the best for the most people. And then, you just make do. You want to get to work earlier, just leave earlier, that kind of thing. But that's the difference. They're both utilitarianism and ethical egoism. These things are both outcome based. In that sense, they're both consequentialist. They're looking at the outcome. It's just one's looking at what's the best outcome for everyone. One's the best outcome for just me. And you can see how we do this a lot, I think. We're faced with a decision, and people did this with the first case study, which was, the thing about Jenny Lake. People were saying, well, okay, if she does this, these are the outcomes we get. If she chooses this, these are the outcomes we get. And people were weighing and balancing the outcomes. Now, some people were. Some people were saying, no, doesn't matter what the outcome is. Bam, there's a rule or a principle and you apply it. That's a different way of thinking. That's non-consequentialist theory, deontology. We're going to get to that a little later when we get to chapter 5. But for now, that's a little bit about utilitarian and ethical egoism. These are two moral theories that are both consequentialist. They're looking at the consequences, the outcomes. And it's their approaches. And you might think, well, that's nonsense. But these are like ethical egoism. For a lot of people, that doesn't make any sense. But utilitarian, people say, well, in this particular situation, maybe that's the best moral theory to apply here. So I want you to think about that. When we get to the case study and you're trying to decide what's right and wrong, good and bad, think about it using utilitarian approach. What's the best thing for everybody involved? Or do we need to switch and think about, well, no, we need to do what's the best thing for this one person? We'll come back to that. But this is where we're going to begin this conversation. So keep going through the consequentialist theories in chapter 4. Look at utilitarianism. Look at ethical egoism. And we can chit-chat some more about this soon. So again, get to the chapter. Start work on that next essay for our discussion. And let me know if you need any help with anything. As always, you can reach me through Canvas. Take care. Bye-bye.